Greetings, people of the world. Matthew back with you here at Novora Autism. And as you can see, I'm back at Final Fantasy XIV, Realm Reborn, after recently completing my Eternal Sonata LP. However, as you may have noticed, this is not the character that I'm doing my LP with. This is actually my first avatar, and I wanted to bring him out here because I wanted to do this particular video with him out here. So I've chosen a particular spot out here in what basically could be considered the middle of nowhere because people seldom ever come out here. Got the Thanlan border on that side, got the Empire on that side, but they're not going to threaten me at all. So I feel like I need to sit down for this. Or in the case of my Mikote character, the beast-animal-human hybrid, Crouch. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about something at length that's been bothering me over the course of the last week. Playing this game with my first avatar while I've been trying to figure out some issues with my computer software. But during the time I've been away, I've been having the opportunity to play the game, for the most part, with my first avatar, as you can see him here. And I have actually beaten the game. As of a week from yesterday, I beat the main storyline for the first time. However, in that time, and in the time since then, I have noticed something that is very disturbing and unfortunate. And I feel like I need to bring it up and discuss it at quite a bit of length. So, what I've noticed when I've been going through a lot of the harder quests towards the end of the main story, and now that I have my first avatar into post-game quests, is that I'm noticing that in quests where team involvement is involved, or party involvement is required, there have been quite a number of people who I've run alongside who are not very welcoming to people such as my first avatar. It's basically taking someone who is a noob, like my first avatar, and not giving him an opportunity to really gain a lot of likability. But part of it is myself, but also part of it is the fact that these people who have gone through the game, completed it, and have now moved on to post-game, and a lot of it, have really come down hard on people like myself for wanting to have the experience of what it feels like to beat the game for the first time. Because when I came to the last three main fortresses of the game, in the main storyline, I had no problems with issues with people with the first one, but it was starting in the second one, the penultimate fortress, Castrum Meridianum, where I noticed that things were not as all bright and sunny as I thought they were with people working together. Because first time I went through Castrum Meridianum last week, I noticed that myself and one other person was taking on the challenge for the first time. That would basically make us noobs. And for those of you who aren't familiar with gamerspeak, a noob is basically someone who is taking on something for the first time. It's basically like an abbreviated form of the term newbie. And so what I've noticed was that when I tried to take on the experience of watching the cutscenes during Castrum Meridianum, when I came out of them, I noticed that there was a lot of hostility from the other people that I was running with. And they were complaining about the fact that I was watching the cutscenes because it was my first time there. And as we went on, it was like, well, I thought to myself, okay, I could probably skip a few of these cutscenes. They're probably not all that important. The second person who was with me for the first time, the other noob, continued to watch the cutscenes anyway, despite the requests of the other gamers that we were running alongside. And once we got to a certain point, it really pissed some of them off so much that they actually, and I didn't even know this was possible, they actually held a vote to kick out the other noob. And that's exactly what they did. They voted out the other noob from the party, and we finished Castrum Meridianum with a full party -1. Which basically means it's 8 people running it as opposed to the usual 4, so that would mean that we finished with 7 people. And what that unfortunately did is that it pretty much, I guess in Final Fantasy XIV or Realm Reborn speak, basically scared scared me a lot and put the fear of the 12 into me in Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn speak. But yeah, it made me skip through all the remaining cutscenes of Castra Meridianum. And the thing is, when I went to the last fortress, the Praematorium, I wanted to try and do it again, watched the first 2 cutscenes, and once again I had people complaining that you shouldn't be watching the cutscenes, you're wasting our time, we want to move on. And it really... I tried to explain that this is my first time here. I would like to have the experience of seeing the cutscenes and experiencing the Praematorium in its entirety, and that pretty much sparked a debate between a number of the gamers that I was running alongside for the remainder of the time that we were doing it. And the thing is, because after my previous experience at Castra Meridianum of seeing someone getting voted out of the party, out of the quest, because they kept watching the cutscenes in spite of the requests of the other gamers, I wasn't really willing to take that chance and have myself get prevented from completing the game for wanting to watch the cutscenes in their entirety. So I kept going through to the end, and what I noticed was that I was so scared about not wanting to get kicked out that I skipped through every cutscene, including the last one, which I didn't think was the last one, because we had to fight the Ultima weapon twice, and after we fought La Brea, and we... No, not La Brea, not La Brea, La Brea. I keep getting his name mixed up with the tar pits in Los Angeles. Yeah, curse you, Bugs Bunny, for putting that name La Brea tar pits into my mind. Yeah, there are no La Brea tar pits in Scotland. Scotland! Yeah, La Brea. Anyway, we beat him the first time, and apparently that was the only time, but I didn't know that. I was so scared about getting kicked out before it was all said and done that I skipped through the cutscene after you beat La Brea, because I was thinking, oh, we had to fight the Ultima weapon twice, perhaps we have to fight La Brea twice, or even more than twice. Turns out you only had to fight him once, and so because of that, the experience of going through the game and completing the last dungeon of the game for the first time ever was lost to me, and is now forever lost as a result of that. And since then, I've gone through Praematorium again a few times, and once again, people complain to the noobs, like, quit wasting our time. And the biggest complaint is, you don't have to watch the cutscenes while playing the game, you can watch them on YouTube. And for me, like, it's pretty much like, what's the point? Because having the fear of the 12 put into me by these gamers who just want to get through the game, through the quest as quickly as possible, which I can understand why they would get mad at someone for wanting to have the experience of watching the cutscenes, but when it's your first time going through the game and you want to experience it the way it was meant to be, and there are a few bad eggs out there who are taking it away from you and basically scaring you straight, as it were. Though I can't necessarily say this is scaring you straight because of the circumstances. So the experience of going through the last places in their entirety is now forever lost to me. And there's really no point for me to watch the cutscenes on YouTube because I would prefer to have watched them while playing the game. And another example I can give is that a few days ago, I had my first run at Castra Meridianum since completing it for the first time, and I was accompanied by 3 noobs who were all in the party, along with 5 other people, including myself, and I noticed that all 3 of them were watching the cutscenes, despite the various complaints of the other 4 gamers in our party who kept complaining, skip through the cutscenes! Watch them on YouTube! And the 3 of them weren't having any of it, and I guess I should be thankful that none of the 3 of them got voted out of the party, because, yeah, that would have looked really bad if the 3 of them were getting voted out because they wanted to have an experience that I could not have. And so, when the quest was all said and done, I basically stayed behind after everyone else left, and watched as the 3 had the opportunity to watch the end cutscene with the victory as a result. And I took it upon myself to do what the other 4 party members would not do, and congratulate the 3 noobs on completing Castro Meridianum for the first time ever. And they rewarded me by each giving me a player commendation. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I was at 13 player commendations, I was then up to 16, now I'm up to 18 in the last couple of days. But yeah, because I was actually wanting to stick around and be a gentleman, I actually was rewarded for it. And so that really made me smile. And I only wish that more people out there who have beaten the game, who have beaten the main story, were willing to do that like I was willing to do. Because it bothers me that the more times I've gone through, because I know for a fact that my warrior class, my advanced warrior class, Dragoon, is not as strong as a lot of the tank classes. In fact, I know for a fact that my max HP is always going to be about half or less than half of a tank when we go into a party and go into a mission, whether it's within the main scenario or whether it's a side journey. And it really saddens me that a lot of the people get really mad at you if you're a noob. And last night I found that when trying to do hard mode against Garuda, for some reason, and I do not understand why, but the hitboxes on the rocks that you're supposed to take cover behind really sucked. Because I thought 3 times that I'm behind a rock, I should be behind cover, I should be safe, and no, because I was one-shotted. 3 times, and so once everyone else was killed, it was like, someone said, oh, this is very obvious, this guy is a noob, and we're gonna have to deal with him, and they didn't even want to. In fact, once it was pretty much made that I was outed as a noob, half the party quit on the spot. And that was really disappointing, because you want to try and complete as much of the game as you can. You want to complete the main story, you want to get to cover as much of the post-game stuff as you can. And when these people who have beaten the game pretty much want nothing to do with you or hate you for wanting to have the experience of completing the game in its entirety, it's really disappointing, because for me, wanting to beat the game, I'm proud of the fact that I did, but knowing that I will never have the experience of seeing the last of the game properly is going to be a great disappointment. It's going to be my biggest regret in this game. So I really need to out these people, because when you beat the main storyline of Final Fantasy XIV or Realm Reborn, you earn the honor and the distinction of being dubbed as a Warrior of Light. And I don't think that these people who get mad at noobs like myself, who are wanting to see the cutscenes, who are trying to get through the games with not the most powerful of weapons and armor, because as you can see, as I mentioned, my job class is Dragoon, and I still only have just the basic Draken mail on me. And so I feel really frustrated when these quote-unquote Warriors of Light get mad at you just for the fact that you are a noob. And that's not something that I never had to experience in other MMORPGs that I've played, including White Knight Chronicles 1 and 2, which is how I got my YouTube debut. I never had to deal with that problem in any of the quest videos that I have on my YouTube channel. So why should there be an issue in Final Fantasy XIV or Realm Reborn, or any other MMORPG for that matter? Because that should not happen. And for these people, I don't think they understand how significant it is in video game lore to be recognized with the distinction of Warrior of Light, because that title has a very rich history in video gaming. It goes all the way back to the very first Final Fantasy released to the Western world 25 years ago. Because that's what the initial party of 4 was dubbed as in the first Final Fantasy. They were dubbed as the Warriors of Light. And so to have that now reintroduced all these years later in Final Fantasy XIV or Realm Reborn, I take a great honor in having that distinction of being dubbed as a Warrior of Light for having beaten the main story. And I don't think a lot of other people do, which is really disappointing because the way they conduct themselves, it's like, sure, you may have earned the title of Warrior of Light by being the main story, but have you truly proven that you are worthy of the title? Because if we are supposed to be Warriors of Light, should we not conduct ourselves as such? Because if we really are supposed to be the quote-unquote Warriors of Light, we should do everything we can to help out the people who are still playing the game, because I hate to disappoint those of you who are quote-unquote Warriors of Light and bash noobs, but here's the reality. Over 2 million people worldwide so far have bought this game, which means there are literally hundreds of thousands and indeed millions of people out there in the world who are still playing this game, who have not beaten it yet, and they're gonna need the assistance of Warriors of Light, such as myself and you, to help them make their way through to completing the main story and to completing the post-game challenges. And if they're getting harassed by quote-unquote Warriors of Light, then it doesn't look good on them, and it certainly is not going to look good on me because of the fact that I have beaten the game. So I needed to put that out there, that I want these quote-unquote Warriors of Light to conduct themselves more like the title that they've obtained. Because I really hope that they do take it seriously, because if they don't, it looks really bad. So that's everything that I needed to say, and I hope that when I keep doing more of these post-game challenges, that myself and other noobs will not be harassed by these other gamers who claim the title of Warrior of Light, yet do not conduct themselves in such a manner as to have proven themselves worthy of the title. So that's going to do it for me, and when I join you again, I'll be actually returning to storyline in my Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn LP, and we will continue with that. So I hope that all of you have been taking this rant seriously, because it definitely deserves an opportunity to be taken seriously. And so I will look forward to seeing you guys as I continue on with my Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn LP. So until next time, this is Matthew at Navora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.